Heisenberg's uncertainty principle dictates that when we observe, we interfere. We can never see nature in its true state. And it's that philosophy that I go in today's lesson with. The lesson you're about to see is a blended learning lesson, start to finish. The purpose of this lesson is to have a discussion about the correlation between Mark Twain, the person, and the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the narrative. The primary focus then of this lesson was on parts A and B of Speaking and Listening Standard Number 1, where students are asked to participate in a prepared discussion, use textual evidence to defend their assertions, and work with their peers to plan the discussion. The secondary standards are both the reading of literature and the reading of informative texts. Students also made strategic use of digital media to enhance the presentation. The essential question for the day is, how is the author's perspective created and what influence does it have on their narrative? The room diagram for the day shows the two SWIVL devices hooked to the group tables at the back. These tables are given some privacy from the other groups to record their discussions. You see that the teams were listed on the diagram that students saw when they came into class for the day. Writing is not about writing. Writing is about thinking. What writing is trying to get the thought that is in your head onto paper. And there are reasons why we write. This class is not about writing, it's about thinking. Thinking can take many forms. It can take an action, it can take art, it can take writing. And the one that we use all the time is speaking. Learn. And first step is, with whoever the group leader is, please flip the paper over that has the diagram on one side and read there are only two sets of instructions, so please read the instructions to the people at your table. I think from walking around you understand the instructions. But very, very quickly, here's what it's going to work. You have from now until lunch, which is going to be about 25 minutes when I'm done talking, to plan out your conversation. You can collect evidence. You can just bring up your window.
And there's nothing really like...
But like his father's death, like he lost him when he was 12, and how he was 12 when he ran away. So they pretty much spent 13 years. Yeah, something like that. Do you want to use that?
Yeah, so more or less, because in the book, then we have
yeah, she'll be back for this.
Provide the which topic of, or which thing.
What were we saying about slavery? That his family, like, did you guys say, like, in your papers that his family to take slaves?
Yeah, I said sorry. No, go ahead. So mine, okay, this is what mine says. You don't have to write it, just kind of say it. Mine says Sam kept up his schooling until he was train right halfway when with his father dead and the family. Okay, so this is what Ashley's gonna all you have to do is yeah, sure. Ashley's gonna go like this. She's gonna say, so the first correlation between the for the second aspect
May the force be with you.
Good
God!
Good God,
She did that when I went to the bathroom.
She's playing hide and seek.
Oh my God.
Alright, are you guys ready for this? Are we gonna go with this? Jack.
No, we don't have
So, no, I submitted my essay.
I like looking at it.
Basically what we did.
I like looking at it for
So for question 1, the question is, what is the correlation between Mark Twain, the person, and the narrative of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn? First,
Mark Twain and Huckleberry Finn are relatable in many different ways. The first of which is the similarities in their father figure. So in the book, there's a quote that talks about how Huck hasn't seen his dad in a really long time, and that's okay with him because he doesn't really like it when his dad's around, and his dad's really only around when it's convenient for him, and that can...
So, the experiences of Huckleberry's loneliness is his hometown, caused by his father, relates to Mark Twain's own feelings while living in Hannibal, Missouri, with a deadbeat father.
Yeah, it gives you like their point of view, like their version of the story, so you can see like more than just one vision or one like aspect. You can see different sides.
Yeah, like I agree with what you guys are saying. Like, if you think about the author, they take their experiences in their life and they end up incorporating it in their narratives that they write. So.
An example of that would be like how Mark Twain's father had died, and in Huckleberry Finn, Huck's father wasn't like a part of his life. So
about how an author's perspective, experiences, and beliefs, like they will affect the stories that they tell, because like in our essays we talk about how Mark Twain's the only person who could write Huckleberry Finn because of like the things that were explained, like the way that he like lived his life, the things that he's been through. So experiences like being friends with a slave and not having a father, he portrays that in the character and like in a way that other people couldn't explain it.
When Samuel was 12 years old, and was like 12 years old, he was able to think about like the things that he learned, but it was related to me around the place.
But just like Darcy said, that Mark Twain related it to.
And how do you think, Riley, when he talks about the death of Mark Twain's father in Huckleberry Finn, how do you relate to it? Like, how do you think that happens?
So I think the death of Mark Twain's father helped influence the story as
Mark
well.
Twain's like Huckleberry Finn was very mischievous and he did things in order to understand a person. Like he would play pranks on his caretaker who was widowed and he mean to her just to see what kind of person she was and to understand how she was. And even though he was mischievous, he did it for a reason. Like he left his dad because he was abusing him and he had to get away from that situation. So he did it for a certain reason.
Well, yeah, that does make sense. Good point. So,
Just because he went through all that, and the character Huck is pretty much all that his personality is and how he believes everything goes. His morals, it's everything that he thinks. It's not anybody else thinks that. It's all him. And I believe.
I agree with what both Brandon and Ashton said, that you can't really explain something thoroughly without have gone through it, because many people haven't lost their father in their life so young and had to live without that. So it just, like, he allows you and explains like the heartache that he went through and the issues that he went through with being financially unstable and having a mother as his father figure as well. And a lot of people can't understand that, and since he went through it, he was able to thoroughly kind of just explain it to you and make you feel like you were in his shoes.
Have a great weekend. Be kind to each other. Remember, you can't be good, but you can be smart.
Depende.
Depend.
No, B22 left their book. They can't find any because they keep looking at it. It doesn't count. It was
Bye.
club number 7 into club number 7, not club number 8. Just tell them. I don't know who they are. You need to find them.
Reflecting on the lesson, I came up with a few things. There were some technical problems, first of all. There was some audio feedback on one of the SWIVL devices, and there was some minor issues and difficulty with accessing the videos from the SWIVL accounts and transferring them to a usable video format. It would have been wise, in retrospect, to test both machines. I tested one of the machines to make sure I knew how the technology worked thoroughly, but I didn't test the other one to make sure that they both function the same. I'm going to continue to experiment with this technology and learn as we go. On a personal note, the instructor obviously crossed the line in this lesson between thorough and repetitive. My voice is also way too loud. When I'm talking to other students in the room, offering assistance or giving instructions, I'm picked up on all the microphones and most certainly interfering with the students' work. They're just too polite to say so. First of all, I need to cut my verbal instruction by about half in this lesson. It might be easier to make a video of how to use the technology that students can watch, and perhaps students would be able to use a thorough rubric instead of the instructor's verbal instructions prior to their discussions. I need to personally be more cognizant of my inherent vocal tendencies. It's a personal goal. I have a loud voice and I need to be aware and use it sparingly. The final product of this lesson, the discussion, seems a bit manufactured, and that was expected. The lesson wasn't a failure. The standards were addressed, they just weren't mastered. It's obvious that moving forward, the students may need some direct instruction and modeling on how to meet the exact point of these standards, and we're going to continue to practice that. The instructor needs to develop 2 rubrics, one based on the Common Core verbiage, and the second on the content required for each of the discussions.
Anywhere, heights, plains, peaks, or valleys, entrances, exits, vestibules, and alleys. Winding roads that test the firm nerve. Fortune or fatal behind the blind curve. The engine on her lights flash to a blur. Speed work through the earth, make your motor go skirt. Tonight at noon, watch a bad moon rising. Identities in crisis and conflict diamonds.